What's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of AdFreeShows.com, SEScoops.com, and One True Sport Team. No, geez, Brass Ring Media. Yes, yesterday I did not have a show because technical difficulties. StreamYard was down, but here I am. I talked a lot by myself about Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide. Now let's talk about it today, in addition to Raw and things like that. So overall, if you didn't get my take, I do another show, Brass Ring Media. I do a daily hotline, so I do a little thing that brings that up and talked about a little bit of that. But overall, I thought what a successful weekend it was for WWE when it comes to their PLEs and giving an alternative perspective when it comes to when worlds collide. It's a very felt. I don't know if anybody else felt like this, but I felt like Worlds Collide provided almost an NXT identity back in 2013, something to kind of choose differently from. You still have the WWE aesthetic to it all, but there's also the spin of AAA, and so they kept true to that. So I liked it a lot, and I thought Money in the Bank. What I did add too was that I think the Money in the Bank concept itself, the ladder match and everything, is kind of worn thin. I think they need to change it up. And I guess I'll lean into that a little bit today, too, with what they're doing with the King and Queen of the Ring here. But let's give some shout-outs to some folks here in the chat. Robert will be back likely tomorrow. He has to catch up on all this wrestling that he missed up. So Ron Ward says, Dom, you should just shave Razor's head and pretend it's Robert. Oh, Jake, it was totally StreamYard. It was 100% because I was watching another show and they had the same issues around the same time I did when I went back and watched it. So fully StreamYard. It was, listen, I will take complete onus when it is my fault, but yesterday was not my fault. I promise you that. Hi to Tony Gong. Cammy filled him in on my damn it Dom moment yesterday. Great. Nonprofit says go Oilers. I have not watched a look at the Stanley Cup this time around, unfortunately. So just been too dang busy. Triple E says Raw was good. Coach didn't even show up to his Raw post show. Robert, did you work at WWE or Chris Angel when he performed? I don't want to ask him about that. I am not replacing Sly as the lead singer of the Stones, Family Stones. Yeah, R.I.P. to Sly. Man, what a legend too. Very much transformed a lot of music, stuff like that when it comes to that band and everything. The Guana over Cena at SummerSlam says nonprofit. Jacket later revealed she's our truth. Yeah, let's get into it. So Raw hailed from Arizona, which I see all Jake was from. Pretty cool one to be at for sure. He also adds that it was hot. It wasn't just because it was 108 degrees. Holy crap. I'll tell you what, I love the heat though, and I want to go to Arizona. It's on my bucket list. But yeah, kicked off with Cena, kicked off with CM Punk, and we got a match. Night of Champions. CM Punk taking on John Cena. And, you know, people are giving CM Punk a hard time for some previous comments about going to Saudi Arabia, and now he is going to Saudi Arabia. Look, you're in a WWE corporate landscape. You're going to do what the aspect is. I don't think you should get that much of a hard time for what he said previously. When you're working for a company, you got to do what you got to do. And, you know, in the past, Sami Zayn has taken a stance against it. Kevin Owens has taken a stance against it. But, hey, we're keeping track of what's going on here. Looks like Sami Zayn's going to be at Saudi Arabia, too. Like, there's a lot of people that just do the job and things like that. I don't think, you know, hey, CM Punk is outspoken and he said some things in the past. Doesn't necessarily feels a different way or acts a different way. I think, you know, he's just working for his company and doing what's expected. So, yeah, I mean, I've written some stuff in the past about Saudi Arabia when it was back then. And that, you know, I gave my opinion and I feel a certain way about a lot of it too, still, especially with what Saudi has done in the past. But They make a deal. WWE's made a deal, and there's plenty of stances that a lot of wrestlers still take, and you can tell by the product and what goes on. Even do a little research about what Becky Lynch wore yesterday, and she's taking a stance on certain things too. So Sami Zayn shouted her out for that as well. So shout out to them for still doing it, and staying strong in what they believe in to a certain extent. So, but you gotta toe the line when you work for a company too. At the same point, so I don't think it's that much to give him a hard time for it all. Yeah, I'll check ads with the weather. We don't have humidity, so it's not so bad. Granted, once it's over 110 every day, it sucks. Best time to visit Phoenix is October and April. Yeah, I don't mind that dry heat at all. It was humid yesterday here in Pittsburgh, very humid. So getting used to all that. All right, let's dive in a little bit more. So now we have King and Queen of the Ring qualifying matches happening, and they're all fatal 4-way, and the tournament is not a King of the Ring. It's not your usual King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring tournament. These are 4-way matches, and then they transition, I think, into other types of. I don't know if they're single matches coming up. I think they are. So, look, my criticism partly for the Money in the Bank concept now was it's just too many people, and I think we're too used to seeing a lot of the same spots, and it's too risky for the talent and things like that to have happen. So, I mean, now when it comes to the tournament, it takes away a little bit, I think, of this aspect of it all when you have fatal 4-way matches in tournaments. When you're qualifying for Money in the Bank, might be a little bit of a different story, and I kind of supported that idea. But now, when you're doing tournaments and stuff, I think it kind of takes away the allure of a King and Queen of the Ring tournament when you just have them all in one match and then they go to another match. It seems kind of weird to me. I don't know if you want to get everybody on the show in that manner, but I'm not the biggest fan of that route to take, so to speak. I think they could have done it a different way. And sure, not everybody's going to get a chance to be on television and things like that, but that's the name of the game with this stuff. You're not there to please everybody. You gotta tell the story. And so, I mean, they're doing their job when it comes to the Fatal 4-Ways and telling good stories. And I thought the story that was told was fine, especially with Roxanne getting the win and Liv Morgan. So they did add some fun elements to it. So I'm not going to completely trash that idea. But cool to see AJ Styles and Chad Gable tie it up. And AJ Styles gets the win. He needs it. And, I think it's a good setup. I want to double back to Punk and Cena segment because I did kind of undersell it. I think Cena, you can give plenty of criticism to how his heel run has been gone so far, but I think he knows who he is and he says some good stuff, like really good stuff that people can take away from and be like, man, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. So Punk coming back, I liked this segment a lot. I thought it was great. So both guys did their job. It kind of does take away a little bit when you have a big match like this in Saudi Arabia because it's almost kind of like a throwaway match that's just big in name, and sometimes these don't matter as much. Well, most times they don't matter as much, because it just seems like hey, this is for Saudi Arabia kind of thing. But the segment itself was very good, and both guys obviously legends of the business. So there we go. We also had a Becky Lynch promo, which I thought was good. And we get the return of Bayley coming back, attacking Becky, and fun dynamic. Becky's good as a heel. I'm excited to see Bayley. I think this will, like Becky has helped elevate Lyra as a good babyface. I think it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for Bayley as well, because I think these two clearly have a history with one another, obviously. So this should be a fun thing going on there. All Jake adds too with the segment. It was very cool for a fan in his 40s to see Cena and Punk facing off. That alone was worth the ticket price for me. So how about that? So all Jake does give an alternative perspective here. I don't think that's the case with Sony shows anymore. They're canon now, and last few have been good shows. My only issue is how early they start for me on the West Coast. Yeah, I could imagine that. No, I think that's a fair point. I do think Gunther versus Cody was a good match to have last year. So, to your point, I think that's a fair argument as well. So, um, yeah, let's see. We also had, oh my gosh, yes, Ron Killings. Love what they're doing here. I think this is great stuff. And man, what a way to set him up, big time. And it's very much. I'm familiar with shaving my head, so when you do that, it's a new beginning and it signifies a new identity. So I thought that was cool for R-Truth for his Ron Killings persona coming up. Really excited to see what they do with this, because I think you can have this gives you a whole new guy to play off of, storylines to build, certain things to kind of elevate, not just him but other people. Like you can tell some really really cool story. Nonprofit says, "Where's the Carlito chance?" I think. See, the thing with Carlito is I think everybody kind of knew what his lane was this current run of his. He played the comedic role, and I don't think there was much of a disservice felt with him because he wasn't as in big of a storyline at the moment. Al Snow made a good point where he said, if R-Truth got released, say like 6 months ago, would people have been made such a big deal about it? And it made me think about it because, yeah, maybe not, because he was just fresh off this program with Cena, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, he's gone. But I will add that what R-Truth had to say too is saying, hey, you the fans made this happen, you guys, and crediting everybody for it, kind of plays into what Triple H's reaction at the media scrum was too. He's like, Harry, you enjoy the story? I'll enjoy the story. And I think that was part what R-Truth was telling. So if Triple H was to say like, oh yeah, it was all, we had to pivot, everything like that, I think it might have kind of, in a way, taken away from what R-Truth, crediting the fans and everything like that when it comes to Monday Night Raw. But cool stuff. Really excited to see what they do with Ron Killings here. This is what I wanted to see outside of WWE, and here we're going to get it inside of WWE. So I like it. Ron Warren says, assuming the whole thing isn't one big work, the program with Cena was a lovely parting gift, or it was supposed to be. Yeah, I agree with you there too, Ron. I don't think it was a work. I think that he was going to go, but yeah, I thought it was fine too, and I was like, oh man, I'm excited to see what he does outside. But they pivoted, and I think it's great that they pivoted. I do. I know crowd's about to hijack every show. Look, I think you pick and choose when to pivot based off of crowd reaction, and I think it is. I think what they did was totally fine. Jake does think it was a work. I do not whatsoever. I don't think it was. I think they were letting him go, and that was it. And I think them bringing him back, it was a pivot. I think they were going to move away from it. So, but hey, that's been the conflicting thing. What I've said before too is I really don't think it matters, work or not. It doesn't matter. He's back, and if you're not familiar with the wrestling business, it's all work. So that was it. That's my thought on it. All right, let's continue on. But I did like that segment. So we had Sammy, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Braun Breaker. Sammy gets the win here and advances. So I think add some intrigue to get him into the title mix, considering that you got Gunther retaining, which we'll talk about here a little bit, but then regaining the title, and then you have Seth Rollins with Money in the Bank. So there's some stuff going on. Nonprofit says he was looking forward to Ron Killings versus MJF. I don't know if we're gonna get that. I thought maybe we would see Ron Killings in TNA before we'd see him in AEW, but who knows? Who knows? Look, if Truth was to go to AEW, I don't know how much he would get used in the ring. To be honest, I think that would have been a little bit more chaotic. I'm intrigued to see how WWE handles him here. Yeah, Wrestling Old Head also adds throwing R-Truth out there against JC Mateo get squashed would have been odd if it was a work. I agree. But Jake, man, fires back. Why? Gets JC over the heel, and Truth lost nothing from the loss. Yeah, I could kind of see that, but I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. Going on. Nikki Bella returns. Yeah, I think it's cool and interesting, especially in advance of Evolution. So they're setting some things up here with Liv Morgan, and I think these are going to be two good dance partners for one another. So pretty neat stuff. We also had the main event here, Jey Uso versus Gunther. So like, I didn't watch Raw in time yesterday. I watched it this morning, right before recording here. So like, it's funny because I heard about R-Truth showing up, CM Punk and Cena, and who advanced kind of in the tournaments before, tuning into the actual program. I had no idea that Gunther won. So me seeing him regain the title at the end was a surprise, but a pleasant surprise because I think they've kind of handled Gunther like kind of oddly these past couple months after losing the championship. And so getting him back in the foray as your champion, I think is important. So I think they did him justice, and I'm interested to see what happens next and where they go with this. Jake is firing back. He says, "I'm sorry, I don't trust the reporting anymore. The sheets are 0 for 2025 when it comes to WWE." Yeah, I think WWE certainly has a way of how they work the dirt sheets and sometimes, but also at the same time too, not all of that goes away, like where you get reports and stuff like that. So outlets like Fightful and PW Insider, they're usually pretty spot on when it comes to all this stuff. So if they're putting their sources to use and getting the information from consistent sources over the course of time, I can't imagine that kind of necessarily pivoting too much at the same time too. So I'm sure there's a little bit of give and take with that though, too. So Tony Khan, as I see it as Jay's Rocky 3 moment, he'll win it back at SummerSlam and Seth will cash in. I hope not. I think it's time to kind of do something different here. Do we really want to see Gunther versus Uso 3? I don't think so. It's just not interesting to me. Not interesting to me, and I think that they can have a better match at SummerSlam with somebody else, maybe Goldberg. I don't know. All Jake says, PW Insider, yes. Fightful, absolutely not. Look, Fightful gets a lot of flack, but a lot of times I think they are very, very spot on. Like, think what you will about Sean Ross Sapp. He's a friend of mine, but I do think they're accurate. They don't. There's a lot of times that they don't get. There's a lot of times they get. Plenty of times they get information right. More often right than wrong. So I just think that the rhetoric around that stuff is, people want to go after Sean Ross Sapp because he's the top guy, and that's comes expected when you're doing your job, stuff like that. But no, I don't. I think they're to be a trusted source. Same with PW Insider, and yeah, you just gotta be careful with some of the other ones. That's it. Oh man, look at this. They want Marcus Chance. My brother. You want my brother showing up on Raw. I'm sure he would love that. Non-profit ads, one of the better Jey Uso matches I've seen. Great main event. Curious to see what they do with Jey. Yeah, see, that's what I am too. I think we had the run. He told the story of proving himself. And now, what else we got going on? I want to see something different. So, Dyer says, "Hey brother, I want to wrestle with you." Okay. Chris. Triple H says, "Never wanted to see Jey versus Gunther 1. Gunther should never lost the title. Hell, you're king." So, oh man, I don't know who Sire is, but really saying, "Let's do a home WWE match for fun." LOL. I don't know what you're talking about, Sire. I'll tell the censors to get the bleep button ready. Yeah, there we go. You got to watch out with Marcus around. Definitely got to watch out. What has Fightful been right about this year with WWE? Also, Sap brings it on itself. He goes hard in the paint, people on X, but can't take any criticism. He gets what he deserves. Look, I think when it comes to Sean, he handles it much differently than a lot of people do, and wants to call people out. I'd have to take a look and see exactly what was right and what was wrong being reported with Fightful, but really, I don't recall seeing anything that they were really wrong about. Like, what were they wrong about? I don't know. Jake, I'm not sure exactly. From what it seems, is like their reports usually get backed up and reaffirmed, and but I do think there's the balance when it comes to wrestling, and maybe WWE is taking more of a concerted effort to work the dirt sheets a little bit more, but I don't think it's all that stuff. Sayer is jacket lady, look out. It's fine. Adrian Ortiz says Triple H loves trilogy matches. One more match, Gunther retains, and then they close that chapter. I don't know. Was that a Triple H thing or was that a Vince thing? I just remember a lot of trilogy matches happening with Vince and it just being like, all right, enough, done, calling it. That's it. So who knows? But we'll figure out more this week. Very, very productive episode of Raw, and shout out to all that stuff. Yeah, it was a good show. It was a good Monday Night Raw, and definitely one to take away from in a lot of ways. So, the only person more over than Mr. Iguana is Jacket Lady. I tell you what, Jacket Lady was here right now, she would be wearing a jacket because it's cold. I'm freezing. I had to get another cup of coffee because it's so cold. Jacket Lady for Queen of the Ring. I like it. Yeah, Hunter kind of likes trilogies too. I mean, if you're going from a movie standpoint, the trilogies are what's in. So there you go. All right, I guess that will do it for me. If you haven't checked it out, check out One Kind with RVD. Go to rvdtv.com. Robert should be back tomorrow, and that'll do it. I'll see you guys tomorrow here on Rumor and Innuendo. You can catch us live, noon Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, whether you're on ad-free shows, YouTube, Rumor and Innuendo, YouTube, Magnum TA and Greg Gahn YouTube, which is in purgatory right now. I got to figure out what to do with that thing. And then we're live. Also on SE Scoops X account, the Dominic D'Angelo X account, and WD Creative _ish X account. So, with all that being said, best of luck in your future endeavors, and stay warm out there. That's all I got. All right, see you guys.